Welcome back once again. Short one today. We're going to look at the three biggest setup mistakes I think players make when chipping and hitting wedges around the green. It's not going to be sexy, it's not going to be exciting, it's not going to be technical, but I'm going to show you how you can prevent getting yourself behind the 8-ball, so to speak, before you even pull the trigger. These are things that I see frequently on this very practice area from players of all abilities. Let's take a look. Okay, these three things are in no particular order, but maybe the first one is the most important, and that is distance from the golf ball. The amount of times that I see players show up and I could honestly not tell you what kind of shot they're trying to hit when they're addressing a ball, trying to hit to this third flag or the one furthest away on this top side of the green. They look like they could be hitting a 7-iron 150 yards, which is how far everyone hits a 7-iron, right? So set up for a short game shot should not look powerful. It should not look, you can see on the front camera as well, it should not look like I'm ready to really hit this hard. Because don't forget, we're trying to slow this golf ball down. We need a precise strike. We can't just stand there and crunch the club into the ground ahead of the golf ball like we might do with an iron shot from the fairway. We can't stand there like with a driver and hit up on it like it's on a tee. We need more precision. And to get that precision, we need control over certain elements. And the first one is distance from the golf ball. If you set up far away, kind of powerful, we've got one issue, potentially too much ball speed. The second one is plane angle can be a problem. Right now, if I set up like this to hit this shot to this flag here, my hands are fairly low. I'm almost preempting the odds of me making a swing that is on a low angle. Now, low angle shots have their place in a short game, don't get me wrong, but it's not for a stock shot. We'd rather the angle was just up a little bit. So in a little bit closer to it. I often have people maybe a grip length or just over from the golf ball, and that puts the shaft in a more vertical position. This more vertical position allows him to swing on a more inline plane, okay, less low, less in. Gives me a little bit less work to do to get the club back out to the golf ball. Because any effort I make here to try and twist the club out essentially is going to have the club move around its arc faster and potentially shallow my attack. Now I said it has its uses, right? So a low angle is actually very useful to hit high shots. If you're looking to hit high shots with a shallow attack angle. Now another conversation there. I'm going to find a little bit of grass here, because this is rock hard as you can see, because I'm going to try and hit this one shallow, which doesn't really suit the lie, but we'll do it anyway. So I'm actually going to low angle, low hands, more set for a high shot, and swing on a low plane, and that's going to give me a shallower attack, which helps me to elevate the golf ball. That's a nice shot, but we don't really want that for your stock shot, right? So shallow angles have their place. It's more work, it's more coordination. Let's get back onto this tight stuff, because now I should be able to hit from here, no problem. And I'm going to shuffle in much closer to it, much taller shaft. As a checkpoint, butter club above belt buckle. We've got the front camera in place here. It's above belt buckle, but it's not a reference point from here. We want it to be ahead of the ball. So above belt, ahead of the golf ball. Standing in very, very close, and as you'll see from down the line, it's now easier for me to make a swing that is more in line and on less of a shallow plane. So you'll see a significant difference, in you go, significant difference in ball flight between the two. Something much lower, a little bit of check versus something much higher and softer. So that is mistake number one. Make sure we set up appropriately for this kind of shot. We're not looking for power, and we're not really looking for loft. Mistake number two kind of comes in two parts. We'll call it a 2 and a 2.5 because they go so closely coupled together, we might as well deal with them at the same time. Right hand grip position being too far underneath and too much side bend or right side low or left side low if you're a left-handed golfer. Trail side, too low at address, which is going to produce potentially a more up attack angle. It's going to make it hard for us to actually get a strike which is more descending. Okay, so right hand grip goes underneath, right shoulder gets low, not necessarily at the same time. You could have a good right hand grip and still have the right hand side low, but a right hand grip under pretty much guarantees it. So right hand grip underneath is probably the one grip change that I will make frequently and determinedly, because I just can't really stand it. In addition to the right side bend, it also means you're more liable to roll the face closed when that hand moves back to a more neutral position. That gets the toe of the club low, closes the face, de-lofts it. Leading edge gets really, really sharp without necessarily leaning it, and you're in a world of pain. So from this view, I'd like the right side to be higher the right hand to be more on the back side of the club, less underneath it, even marginally on top, because all that's going to do is make my right side higher still, which levels my shoulders more, and it's going to weaken the club face, keep it slightly open to stop that toe dig. So we're in nice and close. I'm actually got my right hand on top a little bit more this time, which gets my right side up. If I just go error, under, low, no good. You see my head moves back as well, that's obviously a problem. Right on top, right shoulder feeling higher. And again, a decent strike. If that goes in again, I'm on form today. Setup issue number 3. Now this is definitely a preference of mine. It is not to be too open with your stance. I grew up playing golf, I played a lot of links golf growing up. It's all back for open stance, low lofted clubs, and get the ball going along the ground, which suits that perfectly. As I grew up, I started to play more inland, more parkland golf, and you know, that works to a point, but we need different shots in here. So it kind of has its place, and I don't mind it for low driven shots, but modern golf, low driven shots might not be it. Now, the main issue I have for being open is that when you get to a certain skill level and your awareness is there, you know where the target is. So if I set up this far open, shoulders, knees, hips all over there, and I know the target is this way, I'm more inclined to move the club on line with the hole. I'm very unlikely to really swing along my stance line because I'm going to cut it far too much. I'm going to end up driving the club down the target line. I'm going to separate my arms from my body and lose all connection. So I become more driven. Now, being more driven isn't a great thing in a short game. We need some softness in there. So driving down the line is no good. You also drive the heel of the club towards the ball. It can all get very, very messy. If I went polar opposite and close things up, I actually pull my right foot back. That encourages me not to drive the club as much. That encourages me to actually turn on top of the ball. So I start to turn my chest. As I do that, my head starts to move towards target. I'm more likely to hit the ground forwards without driving it. And I'm going to get a nice amount of shaft lean without working too hard for it. So I'm really looking to remove drive and replace it with rotation. So that's why it's a preference. But the number of players that do come along that struggle from an open stance far outweighs those that come that struggle from square or even slightly closed. So let's have a closed one. I'm going to pull my right foot back a little bit. Very comfortable with this. Nice and close. I'm going to do the other thing I dealt with earlier, which is the right hand not being under. Put it on top. I'm going to make sure that I rotate on top of this strongly with my chest. Was almost 3 from 3.